Good day, learners! Welcome to the penultimate session of a 5-part series focused on instructional materials. If you have not yet watched the first 3 sessions, I highly recommend that you do so before you watch today's session. And to ensure that you will not miss any episode in the future, hit the like button and subscribe right now. In this 5-part series, we aim to be able to personally explain instructional materials and its importance, examine the different principles in the selection of instructional materials, investigate the types of instructional materials and tools, analyze factors affecting the selection of media for instruction, evaluate the selection purpose of instructional materials. And in today's session, we will analyze factors affecting the selection of media for instruction. Are your boots on? Let's hit the road! In Session 2, we discussed the 5 principles in choosing IM or instructional materials. Can we still remember the 5 principles? Come on, recite it with me. Appropriateness, authenticity, practicality, interest, and balance. Good job! And just like how in choosing IM, we must be guided by principle, in each teaching learning method, there are different variables or parameters that should also be considered for successful media usage. The collection and use of these media should be based on such criteria. Here are the factors that affect the selection of media for instruction. First is the relevance of the media to the lesson objective. I assume that you have already learned the proper way of writing objectives. I also believe that by now, you are convinced of the important function of learning objectives in teaching. With these assumptions, I must admit that the medium we will use should be able to convey in the clearest possible way the highlights of the lesson. For example, we are teaching geography. Our lesson objective is the student will estimate the distance between Korea and Japan. In the supply room, you have the globe, picture of Korea and Japan, charts about Korea and Japan, and the map. Which among these media best fits the objective? Of course, the map. You get the point now, don't you? Next factor is suitability to students' age, learning abilities, learning styles, and reading level. Pictures could be effective for grade 1 pupils, but perhaps not for high school students. You can put clip art or cartoons to catch elementary students' attention, but real and authentic pictures are the trends for secondary and tertiary students. Provision for learner participation. Remember, IMs are not mainly for displays. It must elicit learning. And one of the ways to ensure learning is when students participate. Thus, we must consider the provision for learners' participation in choosing our media. If it is possible, choose dioramas and exhibits over pictures or graphs, since the former could entail more participation than the latter. Provision for feedback. Feedback is essential to learning, and in choosing IMs, we must prioritize those that has provisions for feedback. Recordings and televisions do not offer feedback or interaction, like the way multimedia does. Who among you here remember Dora the Explorer? Even if it is a recorded media, there is a waiting time after she asks questions, and this provides feedback or interaction between the media and the learner. Appeal. Pictures, especially colorful ones, could be more aesthetically pleasing than other media, but motion media could be more attention-grabbing than still pictures. Availability. The medium we choose should be obtainable when needed. If the materials are not at home or in the office, the library or learning resource centers are the places to find suitable IMs. In these places, you should be able to borrow CDs, charts, maps, replica, and others. Adaptability. Some media, like transparencies or record, can be easily updated or modified, unlike textbooks or learning guides. Ease in the use or operation of the media. Some media, like maps and graphs, can be easily used, while other media, like computers and projectors, need technical expertise. So whatever we choose, we must consider our technical know-how. Learning environment. If you are teaching a big class, you may want to capitalize on projected media. If the classroom is spacious, you may also consider doing demonstrations or role play. And if the number of your students are manageable, interactive worksheets may work better. So yes, learning environment is a big factor in choosing instructional materials. Remember, not all media are alike. We must consider several factors in choosing the best instructional material. Finally, let me leave with you a quote from Bill Gates, and I quote, "Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is the most important." Educators, be informed, be creative, and utilize instructional materials that will lead to better teaching and dissemination of important lessons. Thank you for joining me once again in this learning session, and see you next time in this learning journey with Dr. Jerry.